Check out FlipsideGaming.com for all your gaming needs. Use the promo code HEROES to save 10% on all orders over $10. Between now and August 10th, if you use this promo code, you will automatically be entered into a drawing where 4 winners will each win one of the Commander 2018 pre-constructed decks. See the description below for more details. Hey there, this is John from Heroes and Legends, and welcome to part 2 of our 4-part series where we look at cards you might want to use to potentially upgrade these Commander 2018 decks. Today we focus on Nature's Vengeance, that Jund land deck that had a lot of sub-themes and was being pulled in a number of different directions. Well, today we're going to talk about some upgrades that really focus in on strengthening that land matters theme. Quickly before we get started though, just a fast reminder, you heard it at the beginning of the video, we're still running that promotion with Flipside Gaming. Check out the description below to find out how you could win one of these Commander 2018 decks. Also down there, you're going to find links to our Patreon page, as well as some links to products on Amazon. These are all ways to help support our channel. And as always, thank you not only to the folks that look at those links, but to all the viewers. You all make the channel a success, so thank you. And let's get into it. Alright, let's begin with the cards to consider removing. The way I looked at it for this deck was, at first I just looked at lower power cards like I typically do, but then I started to pull out cards that didn't focus on that land matters theme. Now, this deck has sub-themes, and we saw that in our video a few days ago where we reviewed the deck and looked at the full deck list. So if you're a fan of some of these sub-themes, then you might go in a completely different direction, and that's okay. So don't think of this as remove card A, replace it with card B. These are just some suggestions for cards that I consider maybe a little underpowered, or maybe we're taking away from that core land theme. Alright, let's start off with 4 cards in black. Blood Tracker, it's a cool card. I actually like this card a lot, but it doesn't feel like it fits with the land matters theme. This was part of that attacking matters and defend yourself sub-theme, so I'm going to take it out. Loyal Subordinate, I want this in a zombie deck, but I don't really want it here, so it's coming out. Moonlight Bargain, I like getting cards into my hand. I like getting cards into my graveyard. I like doing it at instant speed. I just feel like there's just more efficient ways to do it than this card. Soul of Innistrad, again, was focusing more on the creature element of the deck, so I removed that as well. Alright, let's move on to the red cards. I have 6 here, Chain Reaction being one of them. This is dependent on the amount of creatures on the battlefield, and I didn't feel like we had any tricks to exploit this, so I would just take this out, maybe replace it with a more reliable sweep. Emissary of Grudges, another card that I actually like, but it feels better in maybe some sort of Pillow Fort style deck as opposed to here. Flame Blast Dragon, good card again, but I don't feel like it's doing enough at the speed that I want it to for this particular deck. Fury Storm, this was hard for me because you know how I love these Storm cards, and I wouldn't blame you for not taking it out because there is definitely value to be had here as the game goes longer and longer. But in this particular deck, I felt like I wanted to consolidate the land matters theme more. Loyal Apprentice, again, this is playing more into make everybody attack and defend yourself sort of theme, so I took it out. Reality Scramble, another card that's a decent card, but again, doesn't really fit into exactly what we're trying to do here. Green Borderland Explorer, I felt like we had enough of these type of cards, and this one can also benefit opponents, so I took it out. Scoop Mob, without Trample, I didn't think it was really doing enough here. Same with Zendikar Incarnate when we get to multicolor, because it doesn't have trample and it can't even boost the toughness. So you might have a high power creature that's just going to be blocked by a couple 2/2s and die. So I figured let's remove this. All right, let's talk about the cards that I want to add now. And I went with the cheapest version of the cards that exists out there in the marketplace currently. So that's where you're going to see the photos of and the prices of. But if you like a different version of the card with different art or foil or something like that, obviously the cost will be a little bit more. But let's start with some Planeswalkers. Nissa Vital Force, $4.68. To me, it's all about the ultimate. The +1's good, the -3's good, but that -6, which isn't difficult to get to, you just plus it once, and then next time around you can get the emblem. That's going to be really key in this deck. The emblem says, whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may draw a card. Fantastic. Nissa Worldwaker, maybe not quite as good, $4.42, but I thought it was decent. I like both the +1s. They're not anything amazing, but they could be good value. For 5 mana, it's pretty good. The -7 is going to be a lot harder to get to compared to the -6 on Vital Force, but it's still really good if you can get there. Alright, let's start off with creatures. We're going to begin with 8 green creatures. You're going to notice from my picks here that I'm all in on this whole land juggling mechanic. What I want to happen is be able to move my lands from my hand to the battlefield, to the graveyard, back to the battlefield, maybe back to my hand, then back to the battlefield. And by doing that, I'm going to get the most out of landfall triggers. I'm going to get the most out of the other cards that have abilities saying they care when lands are moving around. I think that's your best chance of winning with this deck. So you're going to see that as a heavy theme here. Now, many of the creatures that I chose allow you to play an additional or sometimes 2 additional lands per turn. That goes into this whole idea of just making the juggling happen faster, especially in conjunction with lands that can fetch, whether they be classic fetch lands or evolving wilds or whatever. So let's look at these cards. Azusa, Lost but Seeking. You don't have to throw in all these creatures that say you can play extra lands in here. I tried to go with a wide variety of different price ranges, so if some of these are a little too expensive for you right now, don't worry about it because I do have cheaper options as we go through. I'll bring up the prices in just a second, but Azusa is great. It's just that, yeah, she is a little more costly. Courser of Crewfix, kind of a no-brainer here. I mean, being able to go faster through your deck and also whenever you play a land, gain a life, fantastic. Multani Yavamaya's Avatar. This could be a win condition. I mean, there's going to be times where this is going to be a sizable reach trample creature. And then look at that ability. A green and 1, return 2 lands you control to their owner's hand. Return this from the graveyard to your hand. So you're taking maybe some fetch lands back from the graveyard to your hand for more value, more landfall triggers. And you also happen to get another crack at casting this. Oracle of Moldiah. This is another one that's a little expensive, as you're going to see in a moment when I bring up the prices. But it is very good if you can work it in there. Ramanap Excavator, yes, it has that Crucible of Worlds functionality, great for the land juggling. Tireless Tracker, I can't believe they didn't put this in, but it's awesome. Throw it in this deck because you'll be really happy with it. Basically, every time you play a land, which should be pretty frequent, you're going to get a clue token. Maybe you crack it right away, maybe you save it. Eventually, it turns into card draw. It also makes this creature a little bigger, so it's a little safer on the battlefield, a little more reliable. Titania, Protector of Argoth. Not only does this help you continue juggling lands, but it also gives you a payout for juggling lands. This is going to be perfect here. Wayward Swordtooth. Here's another creature that allows you to play an additional land on your turn. This one much more affordable. All right, let's pull up these prices. Azusa, Lost but Seeking. Great card, but not cheap in 1984. Oracle of Moldiah, same thing, $31.82. I don't know if you want to spend more than you actually spent on the deck on these 2 cards, but maybe you already have them in your collection. But if you don't, the other options are really solid too, like Wayward Swordtooth of $5 I think is great. Courser, $3.53. Multani is only $1.74. Ramanap Excavator, $3.65. Tireless Tracker, $3.49. Titania is a little expensive at $15.99, but at least 5 of the cards on here are $5 or less. All right, let's look at some gold creatures. The Gitrog monster, I can't believe that wasn't in here. Just felt like it is such a key part of this deck. I mean, look at this thing. Not only does it let you play an additional land card per turn, which is pretty key, but also it lets you sack land, so it continues the juggling. And whenever 1 or more land cards is put into your graveyard from anywhere, draw cards, so it also feeds into the engine. It's just perfect. The bad news is this card was about $4 or $5 before we found out it wasn't going to be in this deck. Recently, it shot up to $9, $10. Right now, $9.67. So this will probably cool off when the hype subsides, but it is a little more expensive now. Mina and Den Wildborn. This one's only 57 cents, and it's fantastic. Another way to play an additional land on each of your turns. And also, again, return a land card you control to owner's hand. Target creature gains trample until end of turn for just a red and green. So, yeah, the trample's nice and could be relevant from time to time, but I'm really more excited about returning that land back to my hand, maybe playing it again for that landfall trigger or what have you. And if you're looking for a good landfall trigger, look no further than Omnith Locus of Rage. $1.97. Fantastic trigger, another card that just feels like it should have been here. All right, one sorcery I wanted to point out, and that is Genesis Wave. You can get the Iconic Masters one for $3 right now. Very affordable. This card's awesome because it creates a situation where you can put a whole bunch of lands in play at once, or put some in play, some in your graveyard, or all of them in your graveyard, whatever makes sense for you at that moment. So the flexibility is really nice, and yeah, there could be some big plays coming out of this card, no doubt. Enchantments. 3 of them. Hammer of Perforos. I kind of like this one. It's only 50 cents. That's the main reason I put it on here. But giving your creatures haste isn't a bad thing. But what I really enjoy is a red and 2 and tap, sack a lands, and you get a 3/3 colorless golem enchantment artifact creature. So you're able to, as time goes on, make yourself some creatures, which can be relevant, but maybe even more so, you're moving a land from the battlefield to the graveyard, and that could definitely matter. The Mending of Dominaria, 45 cents. This is an all-star in this deck. The 1 and 2 are good. They're going to help you maybe hit some lands, throw them in the graveyard, what have you. But it's that 3. Return all land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield and shuffle your graveyard into your library. And I don't want to undersell the 1 and 2 getting you creatures as well, because that's not a bad thing at all. but I just feel like taking all your lands that end up in your graveyard at one time and throwing them on the battlefield with a bunch of really good landfall triggers could be game ending. And if you really want to combo off with something like that, how about Squandered Resources? Now, this is a reserve list card. It's not cheap. It's been going up recently too, as you can imagine. $30.46. But here you can sacrifice a land, add to your mana pool 1 mana of any type the sacrifice land can produce. So not only does it help you push out more mana for some big spells or some big moments, but with cards like the Mending, bringing all of that land back at the same time with some really good landfall triggers, that could be game winning. All right, one artifact, I had to mention Crucible of Worlds, $20.01. Ramanap Excavator is a really nice budget version. Maybe you want both. You don't need both, I don't think, but $20 is a lot more affordable than this card has been in the past now that you can get the new version for Magic 2019. All right, we'll wrap things up with lands, and typically in these videos, I don't talk about mana bases because they're kind of obvious, right? Like if they give you a comes into play tapped dual land, well, replace it with one that doesn't come into play tapped. If you have a shock land, wonderful, right? So I don't go into those details, but since this is a land deck, there's a few things I want to point out. All right, fetch lands, let's talk about them. These are annoying if you don't own them because these prices are very high. I mean, Verdant Catacombs, the cheapest version of that card, is going to cost you more than you paid for the entire deck. That's crazy. So I don't expect everyone to run out and upgrade with these things. But if you own them or you want to splurge a little bit on this deck, they are very, very good here. These true hyper-efficient fetch lands are going to be so awesome in this deck. They're going to help trigger landfall more frequently. When you do return these from the graveyard, you start juggling, like with the Crucible effect or something like that. They're going to be nuts. But Bloodstained Mire, $23.75. Verdant Catacombs, $56.92. Wooded Foothills, $23.27. Now here's something that's pretty good too, and it's actually very affordable. Canyon Slough at $3.52 and Sheltered Thicket at $2.67. So what I like about these is even though they did give us some cycling lands out of the box here, these are the dual cycling lands that also count as the basic land types, Swamp Mountain and Mountain Forest respectively here. So that's kind of nice if you are fetching them up or something like that. And again, just cycling these to put them in the graveyard, you can find value there as well. So I think these are great pickups and at the right price. All right, with that being said, those are my thoughts on this particular deck. Now, like I said in yesterday's video, there's a lot of different directions you could go, and we could probably talk about upgrade cards for hours if we wanted to. So let me know in the comments below some of the things we didn't talk about today that you were thinking of using to upgrade, because there's a lot of great options out there. But until next time, hey, thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and have a great day. Hey, thanks for watching. This video is made possible by the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Check out the description below for links to our Patreon page as well as our Amazon affiliate store, where a small percentage of all sales will also help support the channel. Finally, if you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any new videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon, and have a great day.